I hate being a part of like just a shitty fight like that. So after the fight, the crowd was booing. With they should, you know what I mean? It was a shitty fight. Well, I guess Verdum was doing like, kind of like the crybaby thing, like to his eyes with his knuckle. You know what I mean? How they that thing,
Sure.
and I guess Edmond thought he was doing it towards me. So Edmond said to him, "Why don't you have some fucking respect?" You know what I mean, for the guy that you just fought. And all of a sudden, Verdum squares up and push kicks Edmond. And he's like, I thought he was going to come after me. You know, he's a fighter. He's a accomplished kickboxer. And he had that look in his eye that he was going to come after me. It's like, God, buddy, what the fuck? He's telling you to have some fucking respect. And then it gets turned around because that jackass gets the mic, at the post-fight press conference and, whatever. But
So you don't like him as a person. Did you ever see the video of him kicking the reporter in the leg?
No.
There's one too where as a fan of UFC, I've interviewed a lot of fighters and had them show me moves just to see where certain things feel like, because it's pretty impressive what you guys deal with.
Sure.
But they're always taking it easy. And and Verdum did this to this reporter where he just gave him like a thigh kick and it put the guy, they almost passed out from it. It was like a little too hard to do to a guy who's not a fighter.
Yeah. That's him.
And do you think Travis too? Because after you and Ronda both train with Edmond, and he's caught a lot of criticism lately. Do you think that some of it was fair, or do you think all of it was unfair, or how do you feel about that, or the way people are perceiving it?
Well, I can't tell you if it was all unfair or fair or anything, because I haven't heard all of it. I've only heard some things, and the things that I've heard is pretty unfair. And you get some of these guys that are prominent in the MMA community that hold some kind of like weight with the fans, and they go and they talk about things in a way that like an amateur would talk about. They just throw it out there. You know what I mean? Instead of like having a thought behind it, they're just throwing things out. And unfortunately, like he's an easy guy to not like because he just doesn't care what you think. You know what I mean? Like, there's some guys, some coaches or whatever that will say the right thing because it's the right thing to say. Like, he just says how he feels. These guys will say the right thing at the time, and then they'll go right backstage and be like, fuck that, and then they'll really say something different. Like, he just doesn't have a filter. You know what I mean? And some of the stuff that I've seen is just, it is what it is. I mean, he's, I don't think that he fully deserves it. I mean, show me a coach that hasn't lost, as a coach, that his athletes or her athletes haven't lost, and that get the same kind of reaction from the fans. Like, get the hell out of here. There isn't a single one.
Right. Yeah, you know what? Dana said that. Dana made a point. Dana said, look, man, nobody's harping on the guy when, Ronda for, destroying everybody in her path. Nobody's complaining about the guy. And then, there's a hiccup or, you lose a fight here or there. Next thing you know, the guy sucks. So, I mean, I definitely hear you with that. And personally, Edmond's not a douchey guy. I mean, I met the guy. I hung out with the guy before in Maine over by Dana's house. He was there. He had a fighter fighting. And he's a nice guy. I mean, I met him behind the scenes. He's always been cool to me. And we had pleasant conversations. And the thing is this. I think that he's very emotional with his fighters. Like, he's very, like, when you get emotionally attached, and I know when I corner my guys, it's like, I got my guy, and I keep it simple. It's like, I got my guy, you got your guy, we're meeting down at the flagpole. We're going to, you're in the trenches with your guy. Yeah. And, like, I got shit after Silva broke his leg. I didn't know his leg was broken when he fought Weidman. And I remember when the fight just got done, I'm like, oh, it's done. All right, what happened? Broke it out. Good, fuck him. I didn't see the thing in half. I got some stuff over that, so I understand what it's like being a coach and being very, emotionally invested in your fighters. You could come across a little harsh. I know I did in the past.
Well, that's your fucking dude. You know what I'm saying? Like Weidman is your freaking dude, and so when something like that happens, the fight gets called. You're like, fuck yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you're still riding that high, and even during the fight, I'm sure when shit isn't going right, you're like, no, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, dude, fighting's an emotional thing, and especially when you invest yourself into that person that's in there fighting.
Yeah, what you don't want is somebody, and the fighter and the trainers and your team is your safety net, man. When you fall, they're the only ones there for you to catch you.
Yeah.
I've seen fighters, I've seen trainers. And one guy comes in particular, and it made me sick. And he was with his guy, and we were in Manchester, and he went out there, and this guy used to fight. He's a former wrestler, and he fought in the UFC back in the day. I'm not going to put him on blast, but the guy, he went, his guy fought, the guy lost. He was the first guy back to the locker room already throwing his guy under the bus. Oh, you can't show up like that, and you can't expect to win. And dude, the guy's complaining. I'm looking at Longo like, this guy's a fucking maggot. Like, you know what I mean? The guy's the guy. I was like, yeah, dude, and the guy was a nice guy that lost, and he lost. The guy got caught. But it's like one of those things where I'm like, hey, dude, go talk somewhere else, man. I just ignored the guy. But I hear you, Travis, man.
Yeah, let me ask you, Travis, what's the difference? You were at Jackson Wink, and how is it different or better or different training with Edmond? What are the differences you find?
It's just different. Like at Jackson Wink, I really relied heavily on the training partners there to get work in. Like for instance, like some of the move I caught Alistair Overeem with, like John Jones taught me that. You know what I mean? I worked on that because John Jones. It's like there's certain things that I would pick up more from the training partners. And the coaches were there to coach, but it was more of like a team coaching aspect. And then I would have one of the kind of younger coaches. He would be the one holding pads for me like daily, and I would see Winklejohn twice a week, and I would see Jackson like 2-3 times a week, and same thing, you know what I mean? It'd be like I would get one-on-one time maybe twice a week with either of them, and predominantly I would be I'd have another guy holding mitts, or I would have to bring in some guys to help me with the ground, like Ricky Lindell. When I was at Jackson's, I had Ricky Lindell coming out to work with me on the ground specifically on stuff. And so working with Edmond and working with Ricky, the way that it was different is I got a lot of one-on-one time, and some, I actually just told a story to a person I was just talking to, but Ricky Lindell just had state finals for his wrestling group, right, for his high school. So the kid that won the high school, like the state championships last year as a sophomore, defended it this year as a junior, and he lost, right? And he lost in a way where he just didn't show up to perform, like he was kind of in his head and all this kind of stuff. Well, this kid's 17, right, and he's learning this lesson at the age of 17, already being like having 4 or 5 years of wrestling in the books. Like I'm learning that same lesson at the age of 34 in front of millions of people on the biggest show
right.
in the world, and I've been in this sport for 8 years, 7 of them in the UFC. You know what I mean? And I went from nobody knowing me in 2010 to being ranked 3rd in the world in 2013. So it's like, I'm having my hiccups,
Sure.
but they're the lessons that some of these guys have learned 10 years ago. You know what I mean? And I'm learning them right now as being a ranked heavyweight. And so for me, the difference going from Alliance and Jackson Winklejohn and then to Edmond and Ricky, and then, working with Edmond, Ricky, and Ray Sefo now, it's like, I'm making adjustments in my camp. I'm figuring this stuff out as we go. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like the best coaches are in this sport, like that are going to be written down in the history books, have yet to really come because this sport is so young. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like Matt, like how you are able to communicate with your fighters because you've been in there, you've been in those situations, you've been in, like, not saying that the coaches these days are bad, because I believe I have some of the best coaches in the world, but what I'm saying is like the Phil Jacksons or you know what I mean, or the head coach of the Patriots. You know what I'm saying?
Bill
Like,
Belichick,
sorry,
yeah.
I'm a West Coast dude, but you know what I mean? It's
Sure.
like like having those coaches in the UFC, I feel like they have yet
to come.
Yet to come, exactly.
Hey, sorry to interrupt you, but if you're fighting a very hard hitter in Derek Lewis, you know that. Let's just say you do win this fight. I know it's a tough fight, and you don't want to look beyond it. Fighters never do, but just you have to, in a casual thought, if you were to win this fight, what do you see next for yourself? Because I know you want to get back into contention, and this definitely puts you closer. Do you see possibly the winner of the Overeem Hunt fight? Or what do you think of Francis Ngannou, or who's my new favorite personal life? I can't stop talking about Francis Ngannou. What do you think?
Honestly, after my last two fights, I didn't know where I was gonna go. You know what I mean? Like what direction they were going to put me in. And even with this fight, I still don't know the direction they're going to put me in. You know what I mean? If they're going to put me right back up there with the top 2, 3, 4 guys in the UFC, or if they're going to have me fight another up-and-comer like an Ngannou, or the winner of Hunt, Overeem, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's honestly, in my mind, it's up in the air. I really don't know. I have no idea what direction, and I don't know, I couldn't even give you like a hint of what I think because I honestly have no idea of what direction they're going to put me in.
Okay. Well, this fight is huge, though. You take out Derek Lewis, he's got a lot of hype behind him. He's been putting people away. Big, dangerous dude. The Black Beast is his name.
Yeah.
I mean, you take him out, you're right back in the mix, man. And you definitely deserve a pass on that last fight. I mean, shit.
Yeah, you were hurt.
Your stock doesn't go down after that. For me, I feel your stock went up with that.
Yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Well, good luck. Sunday the 19th from Halifax, you're fighting Derek Lewis in the main event.